I can't imagine me throwing out a case saying, oh, it's a miscarriage of justice. He should have been a mind reader. He should have been Houdini. He should have been a read everything. You want to argue your motion now?
Sure.
I don't need to hear about the one with, how do I say this? I'm not, I would not have scheduled this for hearing at all if it was still over the motion to withdraw the plea.
It was a motion to withdraw the plea, it was denied.
Correct.
It's a motion for reconsideration.
But you filed a motion for reconsideration. I didn't know that you were asking for a Ginther hearing before. You mentioned something about ineffective assistance and
Right.
go ahead. Why don't you proceed?
We would like a Ginther hearing concerning this because on October 7th of last year, Bobbins's being represented by the prior attorney. He had a medical consultation quite in depth, and it does show the diabetes he suffered from. And I guess ultimately is this, they're claiming by hearsay police report that he said he wasn't a diabetic when asked on the road or I don't know where that they allege. Even if that was true, we deny it, but even if it was true, it's a manifest injustice that he pled guilty, that it was artificially high, his blood alcohol level. So in other words, if DNA is somebody's convicted of murder, great, and DNA later shows something, well, you know what? It's not a manifest injustice. I understand that that's the.
You have a medical record that tells me, a doctor that tells me that he's a diabetic?
Yes, Ron.
Is it saying a report or am I going to be asked to interpret numbers here?
No. That he's a pre-diabetic. And Your Honor, I'm a pre-diabetic and I have to take a shot and 3 pills every day. So I don't know where they come up with the word pre, but they called me that too. I guess after a certain number, you become a diabetic officially. But I take Ozempic and I take 3 other pills for my pre-diabetes.
No, but a lot of people take Ozempic just because they want to lose weight too.
It ain't losing weight. Mine was almost going into shock when I was in Chicago about 2 years ago.
Well, if this is a report dated October the 7th,
Right.
what is this medication that he's on?
What kind of medication?
Metformin.
For what?
Metformin.
What's that for?
Diabetes. I'm on 1,000 milligrams daily for the last 2 years. We had produced last time the prescription history from Myers.
Have you seen this, Mr. Bologna?
I have not yet.
The pre-diabetes. That doesn't mean he's a diabetic though, right?
Your Honor, I'm a pre-diabetic and I have to take the shot
Why would he have told the police officer he wasn't diabetic?
first. It's a police report hearsay. Nobody's testified to that. And the bottom line is, Judge, respectfully, if they're inaccurate results, that's a miscarriage of justice. If they can't do that test.
Well, wait a minute. You mean I could, if I'm diabetic, I could tell him I'm not diabetic, have him lure him into giving me an intoxilizer and then come back and argue that the intoxilizer results are invalid because you bought my lie and you relied on it and you didn't get a blood draw instead?
Judge, I doubt very much that he knew scientifically that he can't take breathalyzer. His attorney didn't know, and it was never brought up though.
Because why would a lawyer bring it up when their client told the officer they weren't diabetic?
Your Honor, that's hearsay right now.
All right.
You're relying 100% that the officer said that.
Well, who are you relying on? You're handing me a police report you're handing me a medical report that says pre-diabetic. You say he's a diabetic, he says he's a diabetic now, even though apparently he told the police. So the police are either lying in a police report, in which case they should be kicked off the force.
Okay.
Who's saying he's a diabetic? This says pre-diabetes. What information do you have to tell me that the lawyer should have pursued that.
Pre-diabetic is like diabetic. That's what I am.
Well, you're saying that. I don't know that to be true.
Making it up.
Well, I don't know if you are or not.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Well, you guys are coming in now saying there's diabetes involved, and I don't have any evidence of that.
You got it in front of you right now?
It says pre-diabetic.
Uh,
What do you have to say, Mr. Bologna?
Your Honor, if the request is for a Ginther hearing, this point, it's focused on ineffective assistance of counsel. All we have to work off is what we have in the report and what was done up until now. The report says that he stated he was not diabetic. So the question is, was there ineffective assistance of counsel? The counsel is reviewing that report. I can only assume that he's not going to ask me follow-up questions as it relates to diabetes. So unless there's something that states where the client presented prior counsel with a statement saying I'm diabetic or medical records to prior counsel stating that he's diabetic, I think it's safe to assume that there was effective assistance of counsel in this whole process.
His prior counsel didn't even know what diabetes does or pre-diabetes.
Who said that?
Hearing, I'll have a doctor sitting up there during the Gunther hearing and the former attorney. The results are just, they're void. We can't say, well, you said something to the officer, so we're gonna put everything aside.
Okay, so I just want to ask you this question. If the officer comes in here and tells me, Judge, unequivocally, the defendant told me he was not diabetic. How, and if I believe that officer's testimony, you still think it's ineffective assistance of counsel because the defense lawyer didn't pursue an avenue when the officer had been told by the defendant, according to the officer, that he was not diabetic, and therefore that the defense simply could lure somebody in by saying, no, I'm not diabetic, wink, wink, and then go back and say, I was diabetic and the results are skewed. I can't even imagine a lawyer trying to argue that his client's diabetic if the officer was told by the defendant, if the officer was told by that, you're right, there are mistakes, that he was not diabetic.
He's got medication with it. And it's on the report, his medication.
Which report? The medical report or the police report?
I believe both. I didn't
I didn't ask you that. What report are you referring to? The medical?
That report
The
has,
medical report.
and I'm sure the inventory, and I don't have the inventory report, has what was on it. I don't have an inventory report. I don't.
What else? Anybody else want to help me out here and tell me why I'm thinking incorrectly? Mr. Bologna, Mr. Colovis?
A hearing would result, so it'd be a very short hearing.
You're gonna bring in the doctor.
I'll bring in his treating physician, not a made up one. And how long he's been on it. So what I'm saying is, let's just say that the officer heard that my client was not a diabetic. Let's just say, does that mean that test results go in? Absolutely not. You gotta lay foundation. And one of the foundations is, if you're a diabetic, then you blow.
If you're conceding that he told the officer he was not diabetic, are you conceding that?
No, I'm saying what, the worst case scenario, that's. I haven't seen a video, I haven't seen it.
I can't imagine me or any other judge throwing out a case on the basis that they should have administered a blood draw as opposed to a breathalyzer if the officer was told and the court believes that it's truthful testimony that the defendant told the officer he's not diabetic. I can't imagine me throwing out a case saying, it's a miscarriage of justice. He should have been a mind reader. He should have been Houdini. He should have been a read everything.
Nobody says throw it up. What we're saying is those results, if all true, the breathalyzer results are excluded. And now they can try their case the old fashioned way.
Well, that's what I meant, throw out the results.
Correct. You know, that's like not watching a person for 15 minutes, they regurgitate and then they blow.
No, that's a lot different than somebody telling an officer, I'm not diabetic, and for the officer, well, I'm gonna pretend you are. I'm gonna pretend everybody's diabetic because they could be lying to me. They could be luring me in. I'll give you your hearing, but I hope you're not wasting the court's time.
I will.
You subpoena the officer, Mr. Bologna. I know you said at one point he doesn't work for the department. I want that officer here. And I want to hear testimony. But I can tell you, honestly, Mr. Kolovis, I can't imagine any judge worth 13 cents throwing out a breathalyzer because they administered a breathalyzer to a diabetic who happened to tell them that they weren't diabetic.
So if the breathalyzer was not working properly,
Did you hear what I said?
you leave the results in.
If I administered a breathalyzer because the defendant told me he was not diabetic, yes, I would.
He also told him he wasn't drunk. It was for that.
Come on. I'm not gonna argue about it with you. I'm just telling you. I have a feeling there's more to this, but I'll listen to it. We'll have a hearing. When are we gonna do the hearing? I want to do this quickly.
Yes.
How do you want to do it? 2 weeks, Judge, or how?
Yes, May 7th.
May 7th, you want to do 11 o'clock?
Can we do it later in the morning? Because I'm in Ann Arbor again. That's where I was this morning. I had to drive right back there.
All right, let's do May 7th. Yeah, 11 o'clock.
Can we do a, what? What is it? Lunch? One. What?
You're gonna
May
subpoena.
2nd to May 10th, the family is on vacation.
To where?
For what? Why don't you tell the court?
They're going down to Florida for conference.
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I needed to request a time between May 2nd and the May 10th. I tried to voice,
You gotta keep your voice up.
I'm sorry, sir. I needed to request time to the May 2nd to the May 10th.
There's a medical conference.
I go and meet like 2 of my doctors in Florida. I'm sorry about that.
Let's,
You wanna do it before then?
you gonna be able to get somebody here before then, Mr. Bologna?
I have no clue on the officer's availability here, so I'll try my best.
What days?
Why don't you go call him real quick? See if you can get a hold of him.
I'll see.
Because I don't want to put this off to the 21st. I really don't. Can you,
Thinking next Thursday?
if everybody's available, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Your Honor, too,
That's April 30th, right?
yes. Being that this is a Ginther hearing, though, the hearing is to determine ineffective assistance of counsel. Concern is we're gonna get into the weeds and create some type of record now as it relates to evidence that wasn't even put forth before this court in consideration of how we got here.
That's the effective assistance of counsel.
Well, my view is should be more focused on, did counsel even know about this diabetes? Is there any evidence that counsel was aware of this?
Well, of course, that's all part of it.
I guess we'll find out.
They have to prove essentially that the defendant is diabetic. It was conveyed to defense counsel. Defense counsel didn't pursue any kind of defense, period. That's generally speaking, but that's what they're gonna have to prove. I think your point in your brief is well taken. Why I'm so frustrated is because I just can't imagine somebody, a lawyer, reading in a police report that his client admitted that he was not diabetic, or at least told the police he was not diabetic, and then faulting the lawyer for not pursuing a claim that the intoxilizer or breathalyzer shouldn't have been administered because he's a diabetic. I can't imagine it. I can't imagine somebody lying to the police about whether or not they're a diabetic. And even if he wanted to come in and claim that he was diabetic, if the officer's testimony is to be believed, let me be clear about this. How am I going to find that there's ineffective assistance of counsel? That being said, let's figure out what day we're going to do it. I will honor your client's ability to leave the state between May the 2nd and May the 10th.
How about 4/29 as well? Next Thursday.
I'll tell you what, I'll make it, am I good that time, Heather?
On which date, Judge?
April 29th at 11.
Let me look at our docket.
Is that the 29th?
It's a Wednesday.
That's a
Oh,
That's a
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Guys, let me just check something.
Thirtieth is what I thought.
Yeah. Are you good at 11 on that day?
But, yeah,
Well, you're here with Judge Hessen though.
I'll be here.
Why don't we
You-
do it?
We can
You
it.
do have a trial at 11 on the 30th,
What kind?
a domestic violence.
Let's do it at 1 on the 30th.
That'd be perfect.
Now, here's the thing though. If either one of you can't get your officer here, can't get the doctor here, then we're gonna have to adjourn it. So you guys can be big boys and figure out a time with my judicial clerk, okay?
That's great.
April 30th at 1, okay?
Thanks.
Thank you.